Leanne, your inaction is a shame to the people of Africa, mainly the LGBT community in Uganda. That's why we are here in Washington, D.C. to call out the hypocrisy of the EU.
That's right. Woo!
Hypocrisy is not a foreign policy.
That's right. Yes.
Inaction is not a foreign policy. And we are not going to look on when our rights are curtailed on by the junta in Uganda. LGBTQ plus rights are human rights. So as concerned Ugandans, as friends, as allies to the LGBT community, as friends of solidarity movements in the Washington, D.C., we are standing together as one in order to put pressure on the regime in Uganda to nullify the draconian anti-homosexuality law.
Right. Woo! Woo!
Enough is enough to hypocrisy.
Yes.
Enough is enough inaction.
Enough.
We are sick and tired of backdoor meetings that yield no action. We want actions.
Woo!
The EU, you have failed to use the Magnetic Sky Act. Where are the sanctions? How can you tell us that the homophobes in Uganda are free traveling to the EU countries? That is unacceptable. Where is the president of the EU Commission? You have failed us. And today we are saying that cannot be tolerated. The EU Parliament, we are sick and tired of statements that yield no actions. Human rights are under attack. We have a ruthless dictator who you're funding every year with euros to oppress, to repress, and suppress the LGBT community. Enough is enough. Today we are saying the LGBT community in Uganda should not, must not, and should never be used as a trade-off, and should never be used as a scapegoat, either by the EU or by the junta in Uganda. That's why we are loud and clear here in DC. We want to call out all the presidents of the EU governments. Where is the president of Belgium? Where is the president of France? Where is the president of the Council of Germany? You've all failed us. You cannot look on when our rights are under attack. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. Whether you're LGBTQ or an ally, we shall fight together for equality, for justice in this world. The inaction is going to spread homophobia on the African continent. It is beginning in Uganda. So if you don't act now, it will spread to Ghana. It will spread to Nigeria. We are seeing it going to Congo. We are seeing it going to Kenya. Enough is enough. That's why we are saying we cannot keep silent when the EU is doing nothing. Can you please remind yourselves your common values that you stand for?
Right.
Hypocrisy is not a value of the European Union. That is a shame. We need reforms that are going to protect, defend, and promote rights of all Ugandans, including the LGBT plus rights. You cannot keep funding a dictator who is abusing our rights on your watch. You are funding autocracy. You are funding repression. We want actions. Open your borders to all vulnerable LGBT community in Uganda. They have asked, enough is enough. They are suffering in Kakuma camp in Kenya. They are suffering in Kaboye camp in Kenya. They are suffering in Zambia. They are suffering in the rest of the East African countries. And you are looking on. You failed to open your borders. That is not the EU we knew. Enough is enough. It is time for reforms. Let's act now and stop hypocrisy. Thank you, everyone.
The EU turns its back. Queer Ugandans are under attack. The EU turns its back. Queer Ugandans are under attack. The EU turns its back. Queer Ugandans are under attack. The EU turns its back. Queer Ugandans are under attack. The EU turns its back.
Good morning, everyone. We're here today because it's our obligation as human rights activists from around the world Constitutional Court of Uganda upholding a deadly law that criminalizes not only the identities and the lives and the loves of queer Ugandans, but every single adult and child and community member, pastor, imam, who aligns with queer people, who uphold democracy and freedoms and civil liberties. Now those acts are criminal. That's now called promotion of homosexuality, and it's punishable by up to 20 years in prison in Uganda. And the EU, in the face of this hate, is staying inactive. It's spouting words and hot air when what we need is action. So today, we're demanding, on behalf of human rights defenders from Uganda and around the world, that the EU stop its complicity with Museveni's regime of hate and authoritarianism and anti-democracy, and stand up and stop spouting money into the coffers of this regime without condition, and instead stand with queer people and their communities, not just in actions, but in words. Because actions without investment in what people actually need to protect themselves and to live is inexcusable and unacceptable. And to that we say, shame on the European Union. Shame! 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 Shame!
Shame!
Today we have 3 speakers, and I'd like to bring up the first person, a frontline activist from Uganda, Hillary. Please welcome Hillary with us today. A little louder, please.
Good morning, everyone. We are here standing in solidarity with the LGBT community in Uganda. Today, as we speak as activists, we want to make our message loud and clear. In Washington, D.C., at the EU office, that we are disappointed in you as an organization. The LGBTQ rights in Uganda are under attack on your watch. We cannot allow human rights to be abused today in 21st century on your watch. You failed to act when there was a genocide in Bosnia. You failed to act when there was a genocide in Yugoslavia. You failed to act in 1994 when the genocide was in Rwanda. And today, your inaction speaks louder than words.
Now is not the time for quiet diplomacy. If just an ounce of that decision that they took twice in the last decade, when a little hint of corruption was shown, were taken on behalf of vulnerable scapegoated minorities today, we wouldn't be in front of the European Union's offices. But here we are. And we must keep coming back until they change their position and until their stated values match their actual policy and their actual actions.
The European Union to uphold the fundamental human rights that are under threat in Uganda due to the anti-LGBTQI law. The EU has long been a beacon of human rights across the globe. We have seen your commitment to equality and justice in nations far and wide. Now, we implore you to show that same dedication in Uganda.